how's it going, everybody? This is kind of a part 2, but not really. I was talking about in my last talk today about how things were when I was growing up and how some of the attributes have kind of gotten lost in the mix and the shuffle of this new age, especially with technology. We didn't have access to things that we have now. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit pros and cons, because there are a lot of things that are really great about now that were not really great about before. And I feel like every generation can say that fairly, because we're always evolving, good and or bad. So like I was saying, family reunions, I still see them. I don't feel like they've completely died out. I think it's more of a down south thing. I think different different cultures that come here, they make it a point and they kind of live in the same neighborhoods, and I like that. I also knew back in the day, like, there was old Irish Syracuse, there was old Italian Syracuse, and I am all for, like, I love that communities are mixed now, like there's a little bit of everything. We have a lot to learn from each other, but I also really liked that you could bring the culture of your country that you came from, even if you were born here, and you could make your home an homage to that. But a lot of people get upset these days. They feel like it's isolating or discriminatory. Like, say you just want a village of, I don't know, what's a new age thing, like the tiny homes. Say you only want a hippie village, and if you don't live in or believe in what that village is promoting, then you can't live there. A lot of people would sue and get sue happy, but I don't really feel like that's a bad thing, because I really think that if you, like, again, it's good and bad, because I don't like cults, I don't like exclusion, I don't like unfairness, but at the same time, I really think it makes a better community if you, it's not like you have to be like-minded, but if you have a certain thing that you're striving for, it brings you together. That's all I'm saying. And I wish that people weren't so sensitive, but you do have to get involved, especially down south. There's still some areas that are discriminating against people who are poor or a certain nationality, and they're still like saying you can't live there, and that's not cool. I certainly don't support that, but I feel like if, like I said, if people want to come together and equality, and you know, the kids are raised in a similar manner and the parents are all involved in the community, I just think it makes you act better to other people. It makes you have a moral structure to live by for you, your children, and your family, because you are a community of people. You are one. It's inclusion, and it's an act of armor for inappropriate things. Because when you're a part of a club or an organization, you check yourself more. That part of it I do like, but like I said, it can get very culty, it can get a little racist in some areas, so there's pros and cons to it. But I just feel like it was more prevalent back in the day. Also, let's talk about technology. I am an older person now. I do remember a world without any cell phones or internet capabilities. I remember when we first got computers in our school, they were the old green screen ones. They weren't even like, and at that point I think they were secondhand computers. They were like 80s versions. I remember the old dial-up when it was like, you couldn't sneak on the internet at any time of the night because everybody could hear you. Like, I was there from the beginning with AOL and Yahoo and all of that. And it was very exciting. It really did connect us as a world. Like, I remember my first time in a chat room, and chat rooms are very different now than they were. I don't even think they have chat. They're like chat forums now, or group chats, I guess you would call them. But before cell phones, you had to go to a website, and basically it was an early form of text. You just had to hand type it out, and you could talk to anybody. They had chat rooms for everything. And I just remember talking to people in Europe, talking to people in my own state, other states. And before that, we had to like handwrite letters, like pen pal, snail mail. That was like really the only way to communicate with somebody not in your state or country, especially if you were from a poor neighborhood. So it really has opened up the capability of communication. It's really great for families that, like truck drivers back in the day, they used to have to stop at a payphone and call their families, but they couldn't see them. Now you have Skype, or soldiers who go overseas and they can't see their family or whatever. Now they have so much capability of being able to look at each other and still communicate, and the kids can like, look, Dad, I passed my test. They couldn't do that before, and that's really great for the families and the troops and people who are away from their homes and people they love. We always had phones in my life, so I feel like back in the day, we were just more locked to the house. Like you had to literally, I remember having to be home. Like someone's like, I'm going to call you at 9:30, make sure you're home. Because it was a landline and you had to literally be there to pick it up. So it was very limiting if you missed someone's call and you got the machine, and it was like you're playing phone tag back and forth, and it was a little bit of a mess. And then you had telemarketers calling you way more than you do now. They've cracked down a lot. There were no laws that you could be like, hey, stop calling my house. And I remember we used to get more telemarketer calls than we did people. And I just feel like now that's ads. Like when we're watching things on like YouTube or whatever, and those annoying ads pop up, that was like us at dinner. And the phone just keeps ringing and ringing because everybody knew not to call at dinner. It was so funny that all my friends had the same rule. Like you couldn't call between like 5 and 6 because they were eating dinner, and the parents would get pissed. Like, I told your friends not to call, we're eating dinner. And again, we had to sit at the table and talk to each other. I really don't think that's a thing now. I think a lot of families rely on gadgets. I know it's, I have nieces and nephews. When we go out to eat, it works, instead of them like sitting there scribbling on crayons, which only entertains them for but so long, and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody. It's so much easier to pass your kid a tablet to doodle or watch something so that you can enjoy a meal when you're out with somebody. I really do see the perks in that. Or if you're at like a doctor's office and you're in a waiting room and your kid is little and it's hard to entertain them, you can play learning games on that. I don't see a lot of parents, like when I see kids with tablets, they're watching like Peppa the Pig or Callaloo, or all those shows that are teaching them things. When you send your kids to school from 4 to 6, a lot of learning is sing songs and play and arts and crafts. And so I don't feel it's any different for them to watch a lesson on ABCs in a sing-song manner, because they're learning. And I don't feel like that's wasteful. It really just gets into the point of, if you just give your kid a tablet for everything. I know certain parents who can't get their kids to go to sleep without a tablet. I think that's a little dangerous. Anything in moderation. You gotta do what's good for you and your kids. I try not to judge parents. Life is hard right now, but overall I just feel like communication is great now. We are more connected, but at the same time we're not like one-on-one. We're not open and more receptive and caring about some of the things that we should. But we could work on it individual as people, or as a whole, or as a group. We can do it. We got to stop being lazy, and we got to stop having a million excuses why we're not connecting or making an effort. It's so easy to look down at your phone and keep going. Just every day try not to. Open up. Connect with the world around you.